Hi everyone, and welcome to another speedrun video, or cheat detection. No, we're not going to say that. We're going to get a good game. And the idea of these videos are a bit more educational than the madness of Title Tuesday. I have built up my rating from a low, whatever you start with on chess.com, to 2280. And I'm going to try to get it slowly as high as I can, but I'm going to share with you typical things that will help you improve your play at certain rating levels and typical mistakes that our opponent might do. Now, the rating level we're at is 2280, and I'm going to stick with a Jobava London system. Of course, you can learn more about this by going to GingerGM.com and buying the DVD. And remember to throw a like and subscribe towards this video. And this setup, 1, 2, 3, I think is very effective at the lower rating boundaries. And after c5, we have two main options: d5, which I recommended in my first course, and this move, which is my latest recommendation, my latest course. And the point of this move is that you can now play e4, and you threaten some ideas with pawn to e5, and you get a kind of Sicilian structure, but your pieces flow very naturally. And after this move, we can now push forwards, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And there's now should be some quite good options here. Queen b6 was a losing blunder there, had black played that, and again, my memory sometimes fails me, but this is a bit like a French defense kind of setup where you got to always look at weak squares in chess, and because we have a bit of control of the center, moves like knight e4 come to mind, but this is a weak square, and queen g4 is a very typical idea in the opening in such positions, like the French win-aware variation where you have e6, d5 and this bishop coming out. This move, when you have a bit of control of the center, especially a pawn on e5, gives you some great attacking chances. I mean, the queen's doing nothing on d1. Sometimes you can bring the queen out early if it's safe. And we forced a little weakness here because now my opponent's dart squares are certainly a lot weaker. Now, the move we do have to keep an eye out for is queen b6, but I think we're always covering that with knight e4. And knight e4 might be a good move, but what other options do we have? Bishop here, quite interesting. Queen b6, castling, giving up a pawn. Just thinking of ideas. Developing, knight here. It is a good move. I mean, if f5, what are we playing against that move? Do we move the queen? Just queen g3. Let's just do a very sensible developing move. Other things we can try to do, h4, h5 to attack this formation. But at the start of the game, no matter what rating you are, developing, getting your pieces to good squares, all of these things make a lot of sense. Now, if I go queen there, my opponent's going to go pawn on probably, and my queen can come back, but we also have ideas of queen here. The downside of the queen coming here is it does block my bishop in, which is a bit annoying. So queen here, trying to allow all my pieces to develop to the best squares, seems natural. I'm not too concerned about this. My queen can just come back. And I want to develop my two bishops now. So what are the ideal squares? Bishop here, threatening maybe a sacrifice, and bishop here. Very simple chess. Now, my opponent probably wants to put the knight here. So bishop here, trying to swap it off. Good idea. Bishop here, pinning in it. Good idea. Knight here, very interesting. And if the knight comes here, my queen's in a little bit annoyed there. So let's just develop the bishop. I don't mind swapping my bishop for that knight if it goes there. I mean, ideally, that's fine. And we can also now castle. So we're just getting very nice development going here. My opponent moving in the center. Now we have an option of either trying to keep things open, which gets rid of my bad pawn, but does open the position up. And opening the position when you have better development, as I do here, might be a very tempting move. Or just continuing with bishop g5. Both variations we're going to have an advantage, but it depends how much we want to punish our opponent. If we feel like we want to punish our opponent, we should keep lines open. So I'm just going to keep lines open. And this does get rid of one of our major assets, the pawn there. But I want to keep developing, so I'm going to bring my last piece into the game. I now might even castle queenside, bring in another piece into the game, the rook. And I'm just developing as quickly as I can. And now I have nearly full development. I just need to get my king safe, and I can start thinking about the middle game. You've probably noted that I haven't really tried to do anything particularly special so far. Just been bringing my pieces out, trying to think of, ways to annoy my opponent slightly, and developing in a standard way. And I think castles will be a very nice follow-up, and then we've got to start looking at the weak squares again. I noted that G6 earlier is a move that we're very happy to see, because it does create some dark square weaknesses. Look at F6. That pawn being back on G7 to defend that square, and you've got to always be very alert to weakened squares. And now the idea of the knight coming in to somewhere like G6 looks good. So my opponent's aimed to swap off this knight. And again, when we have a development advantage, two things you want to do. You want to try to open the position and not waste time. Now, queen moving is an option, but it feels like it wastes time to me. And taking here doesn't waste time. And I think that's more important. And we've got great development now. So castling looks very natural. Do we have anything else here? I mean, my opponent is planning to castle. Crazy ideas occurred to me. This is only the kind of idea that like a nutter like me would intend. Bishop takes G6. Because if pawn takes, my opponent can't castle because my queen. Is that completely mad? Takes, castles with the idea of bringing a rook here. Now this is where we have to try and do a bit of... I mean, we don't need to do this. I don't know if I'd recommend this in a normal game. I'd probably recommend just playing good moves, simple chess, but sometimes you have to let the imagination flow. Clearly he wants to castle. The only way I can see is stopping that. I mean, there's other good moves, centralizing the queen, but then I get hit. Is by taking, castling. With the idea of bringing a rook here, it looks very interesting to me. And I have lots of dark squares. My knight, I have 4 pieces attacking. And if he brings his knight, I come in with a check. If he brings his knight back here, we can come in. I'm convincing myself that this is playable. Rook here. Okay. Can I not play this? Okay, I don't know if I would go for this in a game, but I would have to calculate this a lot more. But I'm going a little bit instinctively here, as in I'm going to have 4 pieces attacking, a king in the middle, but I'm going to be a piece down. And it seems like too much of an interesting idea to not play. I feel like my knight can be a very good attacker. My queen has lots of ways in. And most importantly, he can't castle now because I've stopped that idea. And when I say I'm going to have 4 attackers, here they are. So that is the basis of my plan. And I did some quick calculations there. I thought that he might try to block the E file. So I thought his knight coming around here looked natural. And I was calculating check, knight E7, queen F6, attacking the rook, rook F8, and then queen takes G6 check. And I saw, worst case scenario, I'm going to win both of these pawns. I'm going to have 3 pawns for the piece then. And that was enough to convince me. Now this move, I wasn't so sure my opponent could play, simply because queen here probably wins back the piece immediately and maybe wins the game. But also, what about rook here? Just bringing another one in. Is he really going to be relying on king here? Which I don't believe. Knight check. King goes here. And then... Okay, so rook here. King here. He might be able to hold on. Don't really believe that. Let's have a look. Can we kill him there somehow? Rook check. King takes. Again, queen here. Very good move. But you've got to look for maximum. Here. Here. Takes. Check. Here. Check. Here. Check. Here. Check. Here. Okay, I think this is simplest. The other move may well be stronger, but again, sometimes simple is good. This way, we're going to be a pawn up 2 pawns up because I think he has to castle. Actually, this is really stupid because I'm not paying attention to his king moving. I missed that his king can move, which is kind of ridiculous because I was just looking at that a minute ago. Absolutely stupid move. I should have started with rook there. Very annoyed with myself. Playing a nice game up to this point. Okay, and now if rook here, we have stuff like rook here. And I've just done something a bit silly, haven't I? Let's be honest. I didn't need to do this. Okay, well, let's try not to get too pissed off. Knight here. If rook here takes and I take there. Knight here. If his queen... Okay, this is still probably good. I'm just a bit annoyed I didn't play the most natural move. And I'm a bit annoyed that I missed that he can defend with one of these king moves, which he's done. But we still have a very big attack, so let's try to keep concentrated. And I'm not sure how my opponent's still going to defend after this move, because obviously I'm threatening his bishop. If his bishop moves, I take the rook, maybe. Well, then he can take here, but his rook's going to be in pre. If his queen moves to defend the bishop, I can always take the rook. And if his rook moves, then I have takes, check. So this still seems to be winning. Just a bit annoyed I didn't play the most accurate move there. You know, you've got to be... But this, yeah, this maybe bishop takes here was just a lovely idea. Okay, so now we are going to win material. And taking here, I don't think we need to think about any other options because our queen is on pre. Got to watch out that our knight is being attacked, but we're now actually a pawn up. And I think we're going to bring this knight in as it's attacked, and we're going to bring it to a good square. Now there are other moves like check and trying to bring the knight in, but let's just keep it simple. We're a pawn up. We're probably going to win another pawn, and we're also going to win the exchange, and that should be enough to convert this. Got to watch our time a little bit, so we're just going to try now to play a bit more. We can't relax until the game's over. Big mistake that amateurs make is relaxing too soon. We want to make sure we put the ball in the back of the net, but when we're going to be material up, what are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to swap pieces off, get to an ending, keep control, not be afraid to enter tactics. I mean, we've got everything here. His king is weak. We're material up, and I don't see how my opponent will survive this one. Okay. Now we have check here, and then we can take the rook. So let's do it that way because we can't take the rook at the moment because of our queen. So we're flicking a check because then we're taking the rook, and we're going to win a pawn as well. And he's got so many problems here. Maybe his king should come out because at least that way his rook is free, but his king is not going to be particularly happy sitting there, is it? And taking the rook is an option, but if his king comes out, maybe my knight can try to come in for checkmate instead. Let's have a look. King here, knight here, but then rook d8. And if I go check, he can take that one, and we might as well win the exchange straight away if we're going to do that. But we should always be calculating, even when we got a good position. We should never relax. So important until you've won the game. You should always be trying to find the best way to finish it off. And that seemed to work pretty damn well. Okay, right, well, let's have a look at the game review. I think pretty smooth game there. And I'm still too cheap to get rid of the adverts. But can we have a look at the game review? What do you reckon it could be? So I thought our accuracy would be higher than that, to be honest. Because if you look at the chart, we're always better there. But we did let things slip at times. And bishop f4, the computer didn't like. But again, we shouldn't be too critical of ourselves because, you know, it's clearly we had many good chances. Queen e5, it says, was good. I think by this time, rook here, and I can't believe our rating is saying only 2350. I wonder if it uses an algorithm based on your rating at the time, because I think we played that much better than the computer said. In all honesty, we were never in trouble. We didn't take too many risks. I think we played this lovely bishop takes g6 move, which is not a normal move to find at all. And look, if you look at the chart here, the move, and this shows you how wrong the thing can be, bishop takes g6 is not even given an exclamation mark. I mean, come on. Bishop takes g6 should be. Actually, after this, maybe my opponent should give a check, but then the king comes up and the rook comes across. Bishop g6 should be given double exclamation. What did my opponent do wrong? Well, first of all, this opening, we had better opening knowledge. I will show you one trick that I've had before. I've had in this position some players playing queen b6 here. If you want to learn more about this, then buy the latest, the new Jobava system course from GingerGM. It has all this inside. This is a very tempting move, but in actual fact, this is a losing idea. I'll just show you why. You can take here. It looks like black is doing pretty well because he gets his piece back. But in actual fact, he's in a lot of trouble after we take here, giving up material, and then come bang, threatening checkmate, stopping his queen from escaping. He's got to stop checkmate, and after bishop e3, his queen is forced into the corner, and knight e4, we're winning here. So another little opening bit of knowledge there that you might want. In the game, I'm actually pretty happy the way I played. I played very sensible. We just put our pieces on good squares, and we opened up the position. I like that move. Apparently bishop f4 was a mistake, but I really can't see why this should be a mistake. It looked like a very good move to me because we still have a great deal of pressure here. And now I thought this is pretty brilliant, no matter what the computer says. Other moves are good, but this keeps his king in the middle, and we're actually winning here. Judgment was good, and I don't know how he defends against these 3 lines of attack, plus his weakened squares and my knight coming in. So it's a bit more of a judgment sacrifice with some basic calculation, but sometimes you've got to do that. You've got to build up your intuition, and you can do that by just looking at your games more, by looking at tactics, by looking at games of top players who are great at sacrificing. Kasparov, Tao, look at some of their games. My opponent didn't do too much wrong there. He didn't do the opening well, and I don't really think he had much of a chance after that. So a smooth game, and make sure you like and subscribe.